Hello everyone, welcome to the 101% podcast where we talk about mindset, motivation, discipline, how to always push yourself, how to become a beast and how to defeat struggle. This podcast will help you to get a better life, that's 101% for sure. I'm your host Joakim and together with me is the co-host and my sister Annika. Welcome to this podcast.
Today's episode is about habits that shape your future. In this episode, we will talk about good habits, bad habits, how to break bad habits, how to sustain positive habits, how to identify, build and sustain habits that possibly will shape your future a lot. Annika's crazy habits, how habit helped us in our personal life. Please subscribe to the show on YouTube, Spotify or Apple Podcast and share it with a friend. Let's get started. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act but an habit. From our old friend, Aristotle.
Yes, that is a great one. I think that describes a lot of the mentality we have been talking a lot about, Joakim, that every choice we make either brings us closer to our goals or further away. And every time you choose something, you're missing something else. Everything is a prioritization. So when you create a good pattern of habits, then you are on a good path towards success. But when you start stumbling upon other things, you are drifting further and further away. And then I have a question to you. I've been wanting to ask you this because how is your routines now? I know that you hustle 101% all the time. I get messages and voice messages from you from early in the morning in Norwegian time. And I know that you work day and night. So how are you preventing a burnout? How are you taking care of yourself these days?
Yeah, I think that you're gonna block me soon because it's so much spam all the time. That's right, working all the time. So I have to be careful so I not go too hard. I try to work hard but without use too much energy, because when I get excited or stressed, I use so much energy. So the thing I do, if I start to get stressed or spend my energy not well, I sit down, I tell myself, okay, I have to take it easy now, work hard but be calm all the time and don't waste my energy, because I need every single bit of my energy. So that's the trick I do now. And also I try to relax a little bit more, have to look some movie and just book in some time. I have to relax also a little bit, not too much. I do not have time for that, but a little bit. And that have kept me up going. That's have been great for me.
But that is very comforting to hear, because I have been thinking a lot about it lately, and I wanted to ask you this also on our podcast, because I want us to talk about all these things. But it sounds like you're very honest to yourself, asking yourself the right questions and listening to your body, listening to the signals and prioritizing what you need.
Absolutely, it's so important. And I try to train regularly too, but the last week it have been hard for me. So for the last 5-6 days I haven't trained, and I know I should, but I just sit and working. And then I told myself, okay, I have to do it now. So then I told myself the night, tomorrow I will go out just for a walk. And then 3 days ago I went out for a walk. And when I walk, I have a conversation with myself, and I told myself, okay, tomorrow you start skipping rope again. And the day after I start skipping rope, and I told myself, tomorrow you have to start boxing again, home, outside. And I do that. So it have been hard for me, a little bit struggle now about training, but I just have to break the circle, yeah. So just to walk my trip, to get some momentum again. And now I had trained 3 days on a row. So it's hard for me too sometimes, but I just have to break the circle and try to stay consistent.
I'm very glad to hear it, because this is what the 101% recipe is about. It is about prioritizing the right things and not always going too fast into something, but to listening to yourself, because as you say, you need yourself to be on the top of your game. So sometimes you need to exercise, sometimes you need to relax, and you have learned a lot from your previous burnouts. And I reflect upon that in what you say, that now you don't take decisions, you don't make decisions based on your emotions, but on your logistics. You don't go way too fast because you want to and you want to hustle, but you also step back, relax, breathe, and ask yourself, okay, how much energy do I have today? Do I have to cancel something tomorrow? So I'm really proud to hear that you are doing the right things.
Thank you for that.
And it's important to check in with your colleagues and partners like this, to just check how is the energy level and how are you hustling and how are you keeping up. So I'm very happy to hear these things.
Thank you for that. So about today's episode, yeah, habits are the routines and behavior we perform automatically, often without conscious thoughts. They are formed through repeated action and became a part of our daily lives, influencing how we think, feel, and act.
The significance of habits lies in their power to shape our future. Good habits, like exercising regularly or saving money, can lead to long-term success and well-being. Conversely, bad habits, such as procrastination or unhealthy eating, can hinder progress and lead to negative outcomes.
Here are some examples. Good habits, we can dive into those categories. Health and wellness, exercising regularly, drinking plenty of water daily, maintain a balanced diet, get 7 to 8 hours sleep every night. Very important with sleep. I have to remind myself of that also.
About productivity, creating a to-do list each morning, or even better, the day before, and prioritizing tasks with the most impact, breaking large projects into smaller, manageable steps, and setting specific times for focused work without distractions.
Personal development, reading books or listen to podcasts as the 101% podcast regularly will absolutely impact your life in a good way. Practicing mindfulness or meditation, learn a new skill or language, journaling and reflect on daily experiences.
And when it comes to relationships, expressing gratitude or appreciation to loved ones, and actively listening during conversations, scheduling regular quality time with family and friends, and being kind and supportive to others.
And then it comes to bad habits. I once hear a quote, "A habit missed once is a mistake. A habit missed twice is a new habit."
I think that is a very good point, because everything can happen by mistake just once, but when something happens 2 times, it becomes a choice, because if you missed it 1 time, it must be even more important for you to make it work the next time. But if you skip that as well, you are on a scary path to another path, to start getting further away from it.
I see this also in my life. If I skip something 1 time, it's so easy. I do number 2, and then I do number 3, and then it's so easy. My routine is broken. So the trick is to not skip it. It's often wrong about this one too, but I try to be very disciplined, because it's so much easier when you are inside the circle, inside your routine and your habits.
Definitely, especially about habits and choices that will bring you closer to your goals, and about everything in life. What is most important to you is what you have to prioritize first.
Bad habits can be divided into those categories: health and wellness, skipping meals or eating too much junk food, drinking excessively amount of caffeine or alcohol, neglecting physical activities, staying up too late and sacrificing sleep.
And about productivity, it can be procrastinating important tasks, or consistently checking social media or emails during work, multitasking, leading to reduced focus and efficiency, or it can be overcommitting and failing to set boundaries.
Personal development, ignore opportunities to learn or grow, consuming negative content that fosters stress or anxiety, failing to reflect on personal goals or achievements, avoiding challenge due to fear of failure.
When it comes to relationships, it can be interrupting others or not listening fully, being overly critical or judgmental, neglecting time with friends or family, holding on to grudges or unresolved conflicts.
If you would like to support this podcast with a small donation so we can keep growing this show and make this podcast better for you guys, we have some donation link on our homepage, the 101percentpodcast.com. The percent sign you have to write with letters. You can donate with PayPal, debit and credit card. We also have Vips for the Norwegian, Swedish, Denmark and Finland. And we also take crypto donation. We appreciate all donation. Thank you so much for supporting this podcast.
So how do we break those bad habits of ours? First of all, to break bad habits, we need to understand the habit loop. Bad habits from a cycle, they call it cue, but I will just use signal because that's a much better word. E and everyone else can understand. So to break the circle, we start with signal, then routine, and then reward. Signal, the trigger that prompts the behavior. For example, stress lead to overeating. Routine, the action you take. For example, researching for snacks. Reward, the benefit or relief you feel. Comfort from eating. To break a bad habit, disrupt this loop by addressing the signal, routine, and reward. This is same about alcohol habits and narcotic also. You have to know your triggers so you can disarm them before it's happened.
And this goes into the deep honesty that within ourselves, we have to be so honest and ask ourselves the right questions. And we have to be honest to our friends to help each other. And after we have done this, then we need to identify our triggers. So after we have understood these signals, then we need to identify our triggers, to reflect upon it and notice when, where, and why the bad habit occurs. Questions you can ask yourself is, what time of day does this happen? Who am I with? Or what emotions am I feeling? What triggers this behavior? So an example to this is that if you're scrolling on your phone late at night and that keeps you awake, the cue might be boredom or the presence of your phone near your bed.
Replace the habit. It's easier to substitute a bad habit than to eliminate it completely. Swap the routine. Replace the bad habit with a healthier alternative. Instead of snacking when stressed, try deep breathing or taking a short walk. Replace nighttime phone use with reading a physical books. Keep the reward. Ensure the replacement habit provide a similar benefit. Relaxation or distraction.
Make it difficult to indulge the habit. Reduce accessibility to the bad habit. Out of sight, out of mind, as we know. Keep unhealthy snacks out of the house if that is your issue. Remove apps that distract you from your goals. And add friction. Store your TV remote in another room to reduce mindless watching. And use website blockers to prevent procrastination online.
That's a smart one, yeah, when you want to put your remote in another room. I have actually been visit someone many years ago and talk with them, and I went for a trip, and 5 hours I come back, and they haven't moved a centimeter. So that could be a good one.
Definitely.
Develop awareness. Track your habit. Keep a journal to note when and why the habit occurs. Pause and reflect. Before acting on the habit, take a moment to ask yourself, do I really want to do this? How will I feel afterward? Mindfulness helps weaken the automatic nature of bad habits.
Use positive reinforcement. Reward yourself for avoiding the bad habit. Set small milestones. For example, no late night phones use for a week, and then celebrate the progress. Replace guilt with self-compassion when you slip up, focusing on improvement over time.
Building a support system. Accountability partners. Share your goals with a trusted friend or family member who can keep you on track. Very powerful, this accountability. Same as me and Annika use all the time. It always make us accountable, yeah, and we have to do what we say. So it's much more easier when you have an accountability partner. Join a community. Engage with groups that share similar goals, such as online forum for fitness classes or book clubs.
Be patient and be persistent. Breaking a habit takes time. Don't expect perfection, but focus on progress. If you slip, analyze what went wrong and plan to overcome similar situations in the future. Remember the 2-day rule. Never let yourself skip the new habit or indulge the old one 2 days in a row. This is really important.
Final thoughts. Breaking bad habits is about replacing destructive pattern with constructive ones, staying aware of triggers, and building a supportive environment. With consistent effort, you gradually free yourself from harmful behaviors and move towards the healthier, more purposeful future.
But if you are already doing many things right and you feel that your habits are positive, we're going to look into how you can sustain them. Maintaining habits requires consistency and strategies to overcome obstacles. So make it enjoyable. Find ways to make the habit fun. For example, listen to music during workouts. It will probably help you feel more hyped. And combine your habits with something that you love. For example, listen to audiobooks while commuting.
Anticipate challenge. Plan for setbacks by identify potential obstacles and preparing solution. Example, keep workout clothes by your bed to make morning exercise easier.
Reassess and adjust. Periodically evaluate the habit's impact. And if a habit stops serving your goals, tweak it or replace it with a more efficient one.
Embrace consistency over perfection. Focus on showing up even if you can only do a smaller version of the habit. Missing a day isn't a failure. Just avoid missing 2 days in a row. Build a support system. Surround yourself with people who encourage and share your positive habits. Join community or groups aligned with your goal.
So, what we've looked at is that the key to habits that shape your future is patience. Small, consistent action lead to significant long-term results. By identifying what matters the most, building a strong foundation, and staying committed, you can transform your habits and create the future you desire.
How to identify, build, and sustain habits that positively shape your future. Start by understanding your goals and priorities. Reflect on your long-term visions. What do you want to achieve in health, career, relationship, or personal growth? Analyze your current habits. Which behavior align with your goals and which doesn't? Look for role models. Identify successful people in your field or life and observe the habit that contributes to their success. Ask key questions. What small action can I take daily to move closer to my goal? Are my current habits improving or hiding my progress?
And about building new habits. Creating habits involves deliberate effort, especially in the beginning. Here's how to do it efficiently. Start small. Choose a simple action you can easily accomplish. This can be walking 10 minutes a day instead of aiming for an hour. Focus on micro habits, such as reaching 1 page a day or drinking a glass of water upon waking up. And anchor habits to existing routines. Use existing habits as triggers for new ones. An example from this is that every day you will brush your teeth, so why not meditate 5 minutes right after it?
Use signal and rewards. Establish visual and auditorial reminders. Sticky notes, phone alarms. Reward yourself for completing the habits. Enjoy your favorite snacks after a workout. Track progress. Use journal, habit trackers, or app to monetize consistency. Celebrate streaks to maintain motivated. Commit publicly. Tell a friend or share your intention on social media for accountability. Share example of future focused habits. Morning routines for productivity. Setting aside daily reflection time. Continuous learning or upskill. Do you have any habit you can share with us, Annika?
I've been thinking about this since the last time when we suggested to have this episode. And I think maybe something that I do that is, I don't know if it's odd or if few people do this, but very often if I have a lot of chaos in my head, that can be when I have so much things to do. If I cannot figure something out, or if I have a lot of things to do on my list and I just can't get started, then I just used to give myself even more work because then I have to start. Then I don't fall into the trap of scrolling or doing something like that. So I just used to take all the clothes that I have in my closet and take it out on the bed. And then I have to fold everything, military, army style. Then it's so tidy. And when I place it back in the closet, it is so satisfying. And also what it has done is that now I'm ready to do something else because it has given me a lot of peace in mind. I have tidied in my closet, but also in my mind. I'm so much more calm and at ease. And I also have a lot more energy. So then I can go ahead and clean the house or do this and this. So I don't know why this works, but giving myself more to do is actually a very good fuel to me so that I will complete all of my tasks.
Crazy for someone, but maybe okay for you.
Very comforting for me, very helpful. How about you? Do you have any habits or routines that you would like to share with us?
Things that comes in my mind now is I can share some habits I did when I was in rehab for my alcoholic addiction. When I was in rehab, I have to write in my diary every night. I was in daytime in rehab, and at nighttime I sleep home by myself. Yeah. So we have to write in our dictionary every day. We have to write what has been good today, what I am happy about, and what I am grateful for. What do I long for, want, need help with? Have to write 3 examples of each of those every night. And if there was anything negative, I have to write that first. And which character traits that have been applicable that day. Because as we mentioned, we addicted drink on your feelings, yeah? So you have to identify your feelings, and so you see your triggers and can stop them before they come. As a daily self-examination, we need to identify the feeling you're sitting with for each bag. I have to clarify how the feeling affected me in my diary. Here's all the character traits. Alibis is honesty, envy, fear, vulnerable feelings, impatient, intolerance, false pride, falsehood, procrastination, anger, selfishness, self-pity. Those character traits are the traits drug addictive. Those character traits are the trait drug addictive and alcoholics drink on. So it's so important to work on those traits because us addictive drink and take drugs on our feelings. We also used to pray with the serenity prayer every day. And it goes like this. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the thing I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. One more time, because it is so powerful. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the thing I can, and wisdom to know the difference. This serenity prayers is often used in the 12 steps program and other recovery settings. It's a prayer for peace, strength, and wisdom. It is commonly associated with Alcoholics Anonymous and other addiction recovery communities, but it's also used by many individuals seeking guidance and serenity in difficult situations. This prayer is attributed to the theologian Reinhold Niebuhr and continue to offer comfort to many facing life challenges, especially in the context of addiction, recovery, and personal growth. I highly recommend you to check out the Serenity Prayer. A lot of good advice to handle your life on a better way, especially when things is tough.
And this episode, talking about habits, is so deeply rooted in your personal development, because habits and routines and what you do during your day is who you are. And as we have looked at today, there are so many downfalls with choosing bad habits. And the flip side to that is when you choose good habits and you prioritize the right things, you do the most important thing first, you do the things that are going to get you closer to your goals, you are on the right path to success, and this will help you so much. And as you were talking about, Joakim, when you were in rehab, identifying those feelings or those triggers were so important. You did it every single day. And then you have to be very honest with yourself. What is your trigger? How do you feel now? Were you angry? What made you upset? Why were you sad? Was it hard handling that sorrow? So you have to be so honest with yourself, and you have to know yourself so well. And this is personal development. This is what we talk about all the time. So it is very fascinating to hear. And I want to encourage all of our listeners to think about, what are your challenges? What are your triggers? What is it that you want to be better at? How can you create good habits to lead you away from your struggles? And then, what are the downfalls? If, for example, if your bad habit is to drink too often, what triggers it? How can you cope with that? Because that is so much of the focus we have in rehab when I'm working as a social worker as well, to work with the feelings. They are the underlying problem here.
That's absolutely right. Because when people have a relapse, it not happen just when you start to drink or take the drugs. It often happens many days before, or it can be the same day, and it's many small things that do that you relapse. So the relapse happened long time before. So if you can identify and avoid those triggers, you can avoid it.
That is an extremely good point. And then you have to be so honest with yourself all the time. And that is also why it's so important to have good accountability partners, as you highlighted for us, because who you spend time with is who is going to help you reach your goals or who will bring you further away from it. And for me, that has become extremely important this last period of time, because I see that the more time I spend with people that are really positive for me, that share my values, and we talk about meaningful things, we share for each other, then you open so many new paths in your mind. And I think that you will achieve everything you set your mind to. And then it is important to have masterminds to surround yourself with and share for each other, because unfortunately there are so many people out there that don't want to see you succeed, and they don't share the values or ambitions, and they don't even share that you have them in a way. So choose wisely.
We would like to encourage our listeners to identify one habit they want to build or break this week. And we can recommend that you just write it down. So this was everything we have for today. So today's episode was recorded 29th of November 2024. If you like this episode, please share it and click on the donation link on our webpage to help us grow this show. In next episode, we will talk about breaking into the top 1% of the podcast world. In the upcoming episode, we have reached a milestone and our first big goal for our podcast. We are so hyped for this episode. Stay tuned.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram on this podcast account, the 101% podcast. If you like this episode, make sure to share this podcast episode with a friend and review the show on Apple Podcast. Thank you to all the audience for listening. We appreciate you all a lot. Hope that you will come back and listen to our next episode. Until next time, take care and give it your best.